Do you miss me, even though you're married?
So grown up.
It's so grown up.
Eva, I want to start with you. You obviously wrote and directed this film. At what point in the process of putting this piece together did you know you also wanted to be in front of the camera as Agnes?
I knew I wanted to act in it first, and then was like, we should find a director. And then they were like, okay, who? And I was like, well, I don't know. And then they were like, go think about it. And so I went to think about it and realized I desperately did want to direct it. I just was scared and felt fraudulent about it. So I spent like a year and a half trying to prepare as a director so that I could get rid of as much fraudulence as possible. But then sort of in that journey learned that fraudulence is part of it, and that I sort of just had to jump.
I think imposter syndrome only happens when it's a truly special piece of art. Like, that's a good thing to feel because you clearly made something that's special like that. Naomi, going to you next. The character of Liddy has her own arc in this film. Obviously, it's a bit more positive than what's going on with Agnes, the main character. What do you think she discovers about her own romantic journey through her dynamic, her relationship with Agnes?
Oh man. Well, damn, Liam. I think that's a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got.
No, don't.
Do not apologize.
Never
You're
apologize.
too good. You're too good.
Ring.
I think that like there is something about the formative relationship that you have in a friendship. Like my best friend Kadisha, I met her at 11 years old, and she is like my first love. Like she is like my first fucking love. I love that woman in so many different ways and in so many different forms. And like I said earlier, it changes over time. And I think then you learn when you have a partner, like she found her guy first and he's amazing. And I noticed the shift. I was like, oh, her love is also going elsewhere. And I have to adapt. If I want to stay in her life, I have to adapt to that. And then I found my partner. And so then there's this now bonding thing of understanding how a relationship works. And then also how we interact with each other and the things we talk about are so different now. And there's so much beauty in that. I feel so passionate about her life and making sure she's well and held, even when we're far apart. This is someone who I actually don't see often, very similar to Liddy and Agnes. I see her maybe about 5 times a year because of our work and stuff like that. And yet I feel like she's with me constantly.
It's home.
It's home.
Person.
It's the first like romance that you choose that is like completely you. That's why like friendship breakups are the hardest, most horrible thing.
Because they don't have to break up, they just have to evolve. It's like, it's different. It's really, really.
So yeah, there is something like that with Liddy. And like, also I think there's something about learning that love can separate and expand into other people too. Because there's this like zone in when you're like young and you meet your bestie. Yeah. There's like, you are the only most important person in my life. And then you have to learn how to expand it and go, oh, we can inhabit separate lives as well.
Yes, that's so smart.
As someone who just moved away from my hometown, like I'm not going through friendship breakups, but you know what I mean? People grow apart and absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it's definitely a real thing. Lucas, I want to ask you about Gavin, his relationship with Agnes. It's hard to describe without going into spoilers. I'll teeter as best I can, but it seems like he doesn't necessarily know everything about what Agnes is going through because of their relationship is quite surface level. Is that fair to say? At least from the first couple of acts. How do you think that, kind of the knowledge you have of what Agnes is going through, how that impacts Gavin's dynamic with her?
Yeah.
I don't think it's surface level either.
Yeah. I feel like he's really kind of like really alone and just like living in this house with his mom, and it's kind of a big house and it's the middle of like the woods and it's funny, this is kind of silly thing to say because it's so obvious, but like I feel like in Gavin's world he sees Agnes as the main character of a story.
Yeah,
like he sees like a star, and I know that that's like what's happening in the movie. Like it's like you are the main character of a movie.
Yeah, you're like
that I'm acting in, but like I feel like he has this sort of like
I get it.
creative enough world that he's like I think maybe maybe in a way he sees her clearly, not like totally in their dynamic, like maybe, but he sees that she's bigger than the moment she's going through in a way. He doesn't know what she's going through, but he knows
something's happening.
He knows something is this isn't a normal person just walking through the woods. Like there's so much more, you know? Yeah.
When you do meet people who are going through transitions, I think they're more magnetic in that.
Yes,
Oh,
totally.
interesting, because they're like free and
There's something
So-
you
it's like a live
Oh,
wire.
yeah.
You know, something I talked about before is like the journey of the intimate scenes in the film, and like how I think the most like special thing that Gavin does for Agnes is like be there and be a witness and not be intrusive. Like Agnes in the first intimate scene is like not really there, and like I think that's very like obviously felt by him, but he doesn't like push it or try to get more information. And then there's an intimate scene later where like I think Agnes has an experience of finally being back in her body with pleasure, and he's like there, and the fact that, and she's sort of like making her own pleasure happen, but he's a witness to it, which is like huge to have someone else there for that moment. And I think he understands like the significance of the moment, though he doesn't understand why it's happening maybe, but I think he's definitely like intuitively aware. No, which is huge.
Yeah, which is the big.
It's a miracle.
Ruin it.
No, it's a miracle. Like he just waits, basically. It's huge. Like so yeah, I think Gavin's epic.
That is everything. Yeah.
I got a cat.
Whatever you need.